You are now listening to Shoot the Shit with your hosts, Seany Caulfield and Sal Licata. Enjoy the show. Woo!
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 18 of Seany and Sal Shoot the Shit. This is an all-timer. My name is Seany Caulfield, your favorite Major Mark's favorite Major Mark, and I'm with my co-host
Sal. Hi, Sal Licata here. How are you? Hi, Seany.
Hey, hey Sal, how you doing? And we are joined by the one, the only, the hustle man, Mitch Hasttel, baby. I know that's not your real name, Mitch, but that's how I know you, you know?
What's up, boys? How's it going?
How you doing today, man?
I am so happy to be on here with you guys, and it means a lot that you asked me to be on here, and I'm very happy. That's it. That's all I can say. Today was a great day. So,
Mitch, we have obviously a ton of questions for you, but before we start getting into all that, I do want to just let the people know a little bit. So for me, Seany, I know you weren't, a listener maybe back from day one of the podcast, but I was, and that's how I became familiar with Mitch and Hasttel Toys. And
Yep.
I have bought a lot of stuff from Mitch over the years, met up in person a bunch of times and exchanged some cool stuff. And as a matter of fact, my green card Hasbro's loose. I bought most of them through Mitch. So I've always done business with the Hustle Man. So it's pretty cool, Mitch, to see what you've, started to do here with your business as you continue to grow it.
Thank you so much, man. Yeah, you and I have always had good dealings, and I've never had anything but nice things to say about you. So, I'm excited, and I'm really happy to be here. It's an honor to be here, and I'm excited. I'm ready to have a good time. I even got my Sam Adams. And,
All right. I love it, man.
I'm not getting paid for that. And I got my Red Bull on my right hand. You can't really see it, but yeah, I'm ready to go.
You might want to start getting paid for that if you're going
to continue
to produce these. Yeah, figure out a way to start getting a sponsor if you're going to continue to produce this figure line.
Yeah, well, that's how the whole thing started. I think originally with the figures, the back of the card having the names of the people that bought it on it, because that's what I was thinking of in my mind. I was thinking like NASCAR and things like that, and like it's very well represented on the cars. So I was like, so that's when the gears started turning, and that's how that
we're definitely gonna get to that.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry, Mitch. We're gonna go through this episode like it's a regular episode.
Sure.
And then at the end, it's gonna be. We usually do a skit called "Ask Us Anything," but this time it's "Ask Hustle Man and Everything."
Yeah.
Okay.
Chaos, baby. Bring it on.
It's gonna be a shit show, but we're here for it.
I'm excited.
So the first thing is previously on, guys. So this is like a follow-up to last week's episode, and man, we got a couple of really big follow-ups. Sal, how the fuck do you call yourself a Hulkamaniac? You didn't know he was in Gremlins too?
No, hold on a second here. I have a story about this. But I asked you when you showed me the picture that Iman put up there. Yeah. I said, well, what is the purpose of this? And you were just like, I don't know. He likes taking pictures of.
I don't know. I don't watch Gremlins. I did watch Gremlins, but I don't remember Hulk Hogan being in there.
Right. So, okay. And then let me take you through how I saw Gremlins 2. This is a true story. I swear to God. My grandmother took me and my sister. Now, what year did it come out? Like 90, 91, whatever it was.
90s, yeah.
Okay, right. So early 90s. So I was maybe 10 or 11, whatever it may be. My sister was younger.
Yep.
Okay. So 1990, I was exactly 11 years old. My grandmother took me and my sister, who's 3 years younger than me, to the Gremlins 2 movie because I wanted to see it. It was cold in the movie theater. So my grandmother took my younger sister out of the theater, complained to the people, and said that they didn't want to go back in there, but I wanted to continue to watch the movie. but I couldn't because we had to leave. So I think I left that movie.
So you missed
must
it.
have been when
Oh,
Hogan.
you didn't watch it.
Yeah,
I,
you missed
I
it.
must have been because how do I not remember? I saw the movie, but I don't remember
Yes.
that part. I would of course remember in 1990. You don't think that would have
Oh,
left a mark on
absolutely.
me?
I agree. That's why I was so shocked. I was like, there's no way that Sal didn't know this. Like how? Like, literally. I mean, honestly, I was so blown away. And guys, you don't see this, but me and Sal text during the week, and he was fuming at himself. He's like, I'm so embarrassed. I can't even walk outside. I don't even want to see the sun.
Yeah, because I was shitting on Eamon and his post. I'm like, what kind of fucking stupid idea is that? When you posted a picture with Hogan and the Gremlins, yeah, okay,
Yep.
it wasn't even the right Hogan. Meanwhile, he's exactly right, and I'm the idiot. So I had no idea.
That was one of the best scenes in that movie. Actually, I remember seeing
I
it
went back and watched it.
in
It
the
was
movie
cool.
theater.
It was cool. It was really
I
cool.
remember being a kid and seeing that, and I mean, he basically the film goes. It's like one of those tongue in cheek moments where it's like they're messing around with the projector, and he's like, "You turn that projector back on, turn that movie back on,"
It's
so,
like
but
using
it's so out of. It makes no sense. It has no relevance.
Right.
But I guess it's because all those other movies were out around then.
Yeah, they're using the Hogan's fame for 2 seconds. I
Right.
would love to know what he got paid for that, but
cameo,
it made a huge difference probably as a watcher at that time. I guarantee people went to see him.
Yep.
But yeah, that's funny. I'm not lying to you. Before we move on, we got like 20 to 25 messages about how did you not know this? Like it was hysterical. It was hysterical.
I know you loved every second of it.
I loved every second.
Thank you for picking me up. Before I went on to the rip job, I was like, hey, what is the significance of this? Because I don't get it. If you were just like, oh, he was in Gremlins 2, I would have been like, oh, he was? I don't remember that. That's pretty cool. But you were like, I don't know.
I'm the guy who hates Hogan. Why would I know that? Why? So
anyway, good.
It was hysterical. Thanks for everybody who messaged us. And by the way, I said
fuck off, La Puma too. Everybody's in the DMs. Oh, Sal, how do you call yourself a Hulkamaniac? Fuck off, all of you.
It really made my week. All the messages, it made my week. And I forgot the Major Mark's name last week about the Mr. America follow-up. It was Joe Hersky. So thank you, Joe. I appreciate it. He messaged me and reminded me, and I just want to give him his credit. All right, guys, steal posts, where we steal posts, and none of you are going to do shit about it, including Mike Dawkins, motherfuckers. And we basically go over posts that we see and we talk about it. And the first one is from It's Me and Sal. I know you can't really see it, but it's in a video game mode, and it's called the MeWF Federation that Joey Hudson and Jonathan Presley Edge do. And basically it's like computer generated matches, and you don't know who's gonna win, but you know Joey and John, they set up the matches basically. So I was facing Ric Flair in the Ric Flair last match too. And Sal was a surprise guest, and it was amazing. I just want to say how incredible they did. Sal, did you watch it at all? Did you get
I did. I thought they made me look really cool. I thought it was pretty fun that they could do that. And I expect now that Mitch is going to create a video game system to where you
now I have to get in. I have to get in on. I think Jake was telling me about this. Isn't he also in that
Yes,
thing?
The big Jake Boski, baby.
He's amazing. He's such a great guy too, man.
Yeah, he cracks me up. His humor is very similar to mine, so it's funny, but it's so cool. Like I cut a promo, Joey put the promo in there, and then he did a promo as Flair. It's just really well done. If you guys haven't watched it
yet. Your promo made me, dude, I was dying laughing watching that. I'll outsell you, motherfucker.
We'll lay a Gabagool smackdown.
Oh, God.
And I wanted people to know, because Conrad's thing was Save with Conrad, and I said, "Hey, nobody's saving you now, pal." And that was like, that was the nail on the head, baby. You know?
Yeah, Shawnee. It was a great promo.
Thanks, man. But it was so
You
much
come up
fun.
with a lot of funny stuff, dude. I got to tell you, that was one of the
Thanks.
reasons why I wanted to become friends with you. I was
Thanks,
like,
Mitch.
even some of the funny stuff you said about me, I was like, holy crap, this guy is hilarious. You know what I mean? Like, I
Yep.
got some thick skin, man, but I was crazy, man. Some of the stuff, I'm like, oh, this guy is awesome. You know?
That's why I really like you. I was telling Sal, like, not many people can take a joke and give it, right? Like,
I
I
know.
give it, I take it. I love that about you, you know?
But can I tell you this too? I mean, I'm only in Ohio and for a few months now, but
Yep.
I think it's from coming from Queens. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yep, for
I lived in
sure.
Queens the majority of my life. I moved out to Long Island only, 9 years before I moved here.
Yep.
So, but I think and nothing against the rest of the country or anything like that. But New York, man, we're pretty tough folks. You know what I mean? We've
I
been
mean,
through a lot. This city itself, you know what I mean?
think about your friends. Like, when you, like me, whenever my friends call me, the first thing they do is abuse me.
Yep.
Like right away. They don't even say hi, you know?
Yep.
So,
It's
like,
just the New York way, I
my
think.
friends call me Bam Bam Bigelow when I pick up the phone.
I see it. I see it. Now you
Yeah,
just
you
gotta
know.
tattoo your head, and
But
you're right.
that's like, you're right, Mitch. It's the part of living in New York, and
I actually,
that's
speaking of Bam Bam, by the way, I actually bought a Bam Bam LJN mock off of Mitch, which I, by
Yep.
the way, opened
oh
and have it
wow.
Oh,
in Lucy. But yeah, got a good deal. Got a good
Mitch is
deal too.
hurting. Mitch is
I always
hurting.
hooked you up, man. I tried anyways.
I bet you 3 times the value now at least,
Oh,
dude.
absolutely.
How do you operate? Because like you're selling in the moment, right? Whether it's whatever, like me personally with the green cards or the LJN. How
Right.
does it work when you know that if you were to hold on to certain things, that the value would potentially go up?
I, dude, you know how many literally, and I'm talking thousands of Hasbros I've sold in the last,
Right.
6 years or whatever it is.
I can't even
Uh,
imagine.
if I could go back to like day one Hasttel toy, like when I first started, just it really started out as a joke. You know what I mean? Not a joke, but like a goof thing. It wasn't meant to be a real company. I had my own business. I was DJing. I had doing the weddings and the photography and the DJ and MC and all that. But it was just like a side gig. It was basically paying for my own collection. That's how it started. And then I don't even honestly, I don't even know how it happened, but it just became something. But if I could go back in time and tell my, past self, like, hey, save all those 1, 2, 3 kids that you're selling for $100,
Yep.
Right.
because you're gonna be able to sell them for over $1,000, because
Yep.
I really used to, I mean, I think like having a store, it kind of, you got to fight it, but it kind of like makes you lazy in a sense. Like I used to really hustle, and no pun intended, but I would
Yep.
go out and like try to seek out things and try to find people that didn't know what they had. The problem is now it's years later, everybody knows that they're worth money, but back then people were selling them on Marketplace and they were selling
I
them on
love how you
Craigslist.
say straight out, like, I was trying to find those motherfuckers that didn't know what
Yes,
they
but it's true. You know what I mean? Like, you had those people that just they were either gonna sell it to you for a couple, gonna throw it in the trash. You know what I mean?
Who's getting
So
fucked today? Who's getting
yeah,
fucked?
you know. But
I
but
can
no,
picture Mitch walking with his king and like just looking around like, who's getting fucked?
yes. But it was now it's just everybody's got their eBay app out. Everybody
Yep.
takes the Google photo,
So
Google
much
Lens,
different,
Google
man.
whatever, your
So
sister's
much
ass,
different.
whatever it is, and they're gonna, they know what they have. There's no like, you have
Yep.
to.
Because you could just
So
search it on eBay. Like the boys were
Right.
talking about this on the last pod episode. Like,
right.
you if you don't know what something's worth, like, just go to eBay and put in sold and type in the item. Like, how easy could it be?
Yeah.
Right.
But you're right. It hurts businesses like you.
Yeah. I mean, the good thing was that I was able to like branch out into like new stuff too. So like, I went out and once we got the store, I was able to go out and get NECA and Sideshow and,
Yep.
all the other companies that, sell toys. So I was able to get those, so
Mitch,
it wasn't.
Is that and Shawnee, if you got to get to something else here, get to it before we
Yeah, I
get
will.
to the
I
interview.
will.
But I do have one more question here on this. Is the store, and I know you've moved from Long Island to Ohio now, is that your like main job? That's your only job?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, when I was still in New York, I was kind of juggling both. Matter of fact, like in 2020, when I opened up the first actual store, because before that I was for like almost 2 years in like those flea markets, like, the ones where you rent a space.
Right.
It was a nice space and I did signings there and everything like that, but it wasn't my own store. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like once I got the actual store, it was March of 2020. So I opened that store and then
When COVID hit.
2 weeks later I had to close for umpteen months or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Terrible.
Yep.
Yeah, and I was so
You
new that I
didn't
was
close. You were in the back selling fucking dime bags and
well, that was it. I had to I had to rely solely on internet again. Like it was, thankfully I already had the following, you know what I mean, to
yes.
stay alive. And obviously the DJ company was completely underwater because
Nobody's
was
having weddings or parties. Yep.
parties. You know what I mean? It was like it was one of those things where you had to I had to do things to just stay afloat. You know what I
Of
mean?
course. Yeah,
How
man.
how much did, because I would never have heard of you if not for Broski and the podcast.
Oh yeah.
I'm assuming that had to be your lifeline. No.
Oh, you mean Matt Cardona?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I tell him this all the time and he kind of like shrugs it off. But we started Hasttel Toy. I had a little steam going. I was always constantly getting mint Hasbros and like you said earlier, finding all this stuff, you know what I mean? When I was really, really like hunting and hunting. And then I got his attention. I was the first thing that he had bought from me was the Diesel Just Toys wrestling buddy, the stuffed one.
Yeah.
That prototype he got from me.
Wow.
And that was
did you get erect when Matt Cardona reached out to you and tried to buy something from you?
Are you kidding me? I got erect just thinking about it now. So it's all these years later.
Mitch,
the Blue Chew has not worn off.
Did you need some of this, Mitch?
Here it is. I hope you're getting paid for that at least. But no Blue Chew required, man. Yeah, it was like, oh shit, and I'm almost positive there was something else before that I had sold him. But then the big thing was the wrestling buddy. If you go back to episode 1 of the Major podcast,
yep.
He says, I got it from somebody. He talks about the Diesel wrestling buddy, and he says, I got it from somebody that wasn't part of the deal, though. I'm not going to say who it was. But then I'm almost positive the next episode, he did mention me, and he said, oh, it was this guy Hasttel. But he even, he posted me on Instagram and everything. And the minute he did that, that was the end. That was the end of the rainbow, or the beginning of the rainbow,
Right.
So, but yeah, and I always tell him that, like, without him, I wouldn't have achieved the heights or whatever you want to call it now.
Right.
Sure.
Whatever I've accomplished, there's a lot due to him, and I was friends with him before the podcast even existed. You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah. So Sal, let's just fucking run with it. Fuck the
the post and all.
Yeah, screw that. I want to talk to Mitch. It's not every day we get to talk to a fucking a fucking A++ celebrity. You know what I mean?
Jesus. Are you talking about Sal or me?
Yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point. You got ways to go to get to my level, Mitch.
Let's say,
I'm working on it.
I have to say, there's a couple guys that Matt has elevated when it comes to like business, and it's Super Gabby. It's you. Yep. I always found that interesting. Matt is a very hard guy to get his attention. He's very, very. I have ADHD, and I really think Matt does too. I'm not 100%, but like to grab his attention, you got to do something right. So it's just. I know that he has helped you, but it's also you doing something as well. Right. So you should pat yourself on the back for that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like if I was a total fuck up, he wouldn't even look at you.
Well, look at Super Gabby.
Right.
I'm just kidding. I love Gabby.
All right. So off of that, speaking of total fuck up, you want to get into the line here of what's going on with... Dude, we've got a million questions here, Mitch.
A million.
I respect the hustle, and we will do the questions from the audience.
Yeah.
I respect the hustle, but try to explain it to me, because I can't comprehend how and I don't know the business of it, but it just does not seem like a sound model. So explain to me how you think that your new company gimmicks, and what is it again? Just so I don't screw it up.
Grapplers and gimmicks.
Grapplers and gimmicks. How is it getting off the ground?
All right, so basically, this all starts from. We have to go back to like 1993 because that's where it all started. Really, it was right around that time is where I started customizing Hasbro's, and I know it sounds nuts, but it gets good. So basically, around then I started doing that. My best friend at the time, we used to take them apart. We'd make our own, and because let's be honest, back then Hasbro wasn't making the lineups that Mattel is making now. Like they were making like a couple of series a year.
Limited.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Right. So we were doing that, and then once they lost the license, basically Jax took over, and then I was taking the Jax figures, and we were taking their heads off because we didn't want to let go of the Hasbro's. So we were using them to make, and then amongst mixing other parts from other toys and stuff. So but so we started there, and then it's always been in my mind, like, I really want to do this, so then, fast forward now to, I'm a 40-year-old overweight, bald, fat man. And it's like, holy crap, like maybe this is the right time for me to start this. So another Sal from Rush Collectibles contacted me about distributing some of his figures because he knew I had a pretty good reach and I had a sound reputation and whatnot, all kidding aside. So I said, okay. And then he was also, he's doing some other monsters and things like that, I'm not sure if he really revealed them yet or not. So I'm not going to really say, but that's what he contacted me about because he knew I was big into the Universal monsters. So he started talking to me about that. And then I was like, dude, I really want to make my own figures. Like I have the connections. Like I think it'd be something cool. And it's something that I wanted to do from basically my whole life. You know what I mean? So he's like, okay, cool. And then he showed me the ropes, and he's very instrumental in like the sculpting and the design of the packaging. And obviously I'm giving him, it's one of those things where I'm sure you guys have had friends in your life where what that guy is going to say before he even says it, or, you can kind of like, it's almost like a telepathic thing where you can join brains, and like, I don't know what it is, but I'm able to talk to him. I'm starting to sound like Dan Aykroyd now, but it's like, it's one of those things where, he's able to understand what I'm trying to tell him. And then he does it. He does it exactly how I want it done,
So some people, Mitch, don't even think that you have these connections. They don't even think that, like, they think, and like I said, allegedly, they don't even think that you have a warehouse. They think all you have is a drawing with no backing, nothing right now. What do you say to that?
I don't know if they're breaking balls or if they're just following the lead of the guys when they're breaking balls. Yeah. I can tell you this. Matt and Brian both ordered a figure today from me. So if they really in their hearts believe that I was full of shit, which I'm obviously not, it all makes sense if you put the pieces together. Like I've been in the wrestling business since I'm 18 years old, wrestling, and being involved with the guys, and then with all the autograph signings. Like I'm really nice to the guys, man. I love, hanging out with them. I'm always a mark at heart, but you know what I mean? Like
we're all marks.
It's still business.
No. Both you guys are. I am not.
Raleigh Allen is a fucking mark. I'll tell you that.
but it's one of those things where, I had all the pieces of the puzzle. The only thing I was missing was a way to produce the figures. You know what I mean? And that's where Sal came in, and he really, really I talk to him every day now.
So on that, the production, the only thing we saw was the one thing that you had that you went on Instagram with where the arm fell off or whatever. And I know they joke around about the 3D printer. So what is the production process for your figures?
So the short version basically is you have like everything is for the most part now is 3D sculpting. It's the most practical way to do it. If you can learn the programs, you're able to do these if you have artistic ability. And once you learn these programs, it's the sky's the limit. So when the sculptor does it, they make a 3D model. Years ago, what you used to have to do is you'd have to sculpt it from wax, or you'd sculpt it from clay, or whatever you can get your hands on to sculpt something, and then they would duplicate it. They would cast it, and they would make it into figures. But now it's a little bit different. The process is different. I'm not going to say it's necessarily easier, but it's a little bit more practical. I'll say. So he sculpts the figure. We then print one out or two out, like, because then you have to gauge the height and like how big they are. You know what I mean? So you put it there, and then that was like the first thing you saw. It was like a pink. It just happened to be pink. I didn't do that intentionally, but it was pink. It was a pink resin that we used, and then I did the the comparison to see how it would match up with the old Hasbro figures, right? So once you get that down, what you do is you get in touch with China, and then what happens is you send them the 3D model, and then they print it. They obviously use different materials when they print it. It's not like a prosumer resin or whatever the story is. Yep. But then they also hollow it out and they make it into different pieces so that it's. I have it right here, by the way, in case you guys want to see it. So
yeah, for sure, yeah.
So basically,
this was what the finished product is going to look like.
This is basically what the finished product is going to look like. It's just when we go into actual production, once we make the mold, it's going to be a little bit more shiny. It'll be a little bit more refined. It's not going to be. Okay. I mean, they did a great job. This is hand painted from somebody in China, but they, this is the first stage. So they did this. Then they send it back to us for approval. So then we have to look it over and review it and all that kind of stuff. And then now, once the pre-order goes on for a little while, then what we do is we take those funds and basically we put them into a mold and we make a mold. We have to send them a lot of money to make a mold. And then they'll make the actual figure. You know what I mean? That's how it's going to look.
If you don't mass produce it. Yep.
If you don't get the pre-orders, does this thing then die?
No, either way, it's going to be made because now I have all these contracts with all these different wrestlers and several of them I haven't even announced yet. So I have an obligation to make these figures. So it really doesn't matter if 10 people order it or, I will tell you this, we broke 100 today just in a few hours that I had that pre-order up.
Amazing.
So it's going to be made. There's no, either way it was going to be made, but
there's no, but I'm just thinking, and again, you don't need to get into specifics with the finances. Logically, though, I'm thinking, when I saw your number for 800 pre-orders, I legitimately was like, holy shit. Like, that's a lot of
pre-orders. It's a lot of things. Yep.
Right. That's a lot.
I was shooting for the stars. You know what I mean? Like I said, in less than 24 hours, we had 100. So I'm in my heart. Yeah, I know, it doesn't, even if we don't reach 800, let's say we did 525 were pre-ordered, right? Those 525 people are still going to be on the back of the package and it's still going to be made. Regardless of how many we sell, it's still going to be made.
So Mitch, how do you choose who the talent is that you sign? Like, what is, like, I know that there's a limited amount of talent out there, right? Because everybody has a Legends deal and AEW and all that. Like, so what goes... like if I'm a figure, if I'm a talent, what are you looking for to like to get the right person to make a fig of?
So basically, I had just had Charles here at the store in Ohio. He did a signing here, and he gets along with me really, really good.
He's awesome. He is awesome.
Even when I had him in Long Island, like we got along. We stayed in touch. Obviously, I text him, happy, New Year or whatever. I always try to stay, especially if it's one of the wrestlers that I really got along with, and he was just so nice to my son, both times, and went out to dinner with my family. Like, that's why I joke around. I say, my mom was even with us the last time. It was like a joke, like my mom's like 5'2" and she's sitting next to, Charles Wright.
He's huge. He's huge.
Yeah.
He's ginormous.
So it's just, he was the first one I thought of because I had just seen him and I know he was a good guy. And then, I had a feeling that he would be down to do something, you know what I mean? So that's why I chose him. Obviously, Tatanka, we all know the Tatanka stuff, like how I got ribbed about it, and then he was involved in the FWF pay-per-view with me and all that other stuff, and all the signings we did together, he and I. So he was a shoe-in too. Carlito, he knew me. He did a signing at my store when I had the New York store. Great guy. Very cool. No pun intended. So, and I know he hadn't had a figure in so many years. I knew it was a good get. Savio, obviously BSK, he's involved with Charles. He did a signing with me in the New York store. We had so much fun. I took him out. We had tequila. It was great. Like, great guy. You know what I mean? So and he hasn't had a figure too since the 90s. He's another one of those guys.
does the talent get, I don't know how this works, the business model, I don't know if it's all the same. Do they get paid after the figure sales, or they get an upfront just to have their name and then you have to sell to make your money back?
It's actually a mixture of both. They get money up front and then they get money on the back end.
They get a royalty, right? Yeah.
So
so I'm saying from a business model, like I almost get the sense that you're letting your fandom get in the way of the business. Because how could it be, and you could explain yourself obviously here, Mitch, where you keep signing these guys, but like the product is nowhere near being able to be delivered yet, right?
Well, so there's a couple of answers to that question. The first answer is we've already seen other companies have these problems where they put out 5-6 figures at a time and it fails, or it becomes really difficult for them to produce the toys that they're promising to people. So my first thing when I sat back and I took everything in and I kind of like started forming how I was going to do everything, the first thing that I knew I was going to do, and this is a shoot, the first thing I knew what I was going to do was I was going to do one figure at a time, because I can devote my time to that person. I can devote my time to the creative on the figure. I could devote my time to making sure that all the promotional stuff goes really nice and everything goes smooth. Because if you start overwhelming yourself and you're doing 5-6 figures, I don't care how great you are, unless you're Mattel and you have a giant fleet of employees that can all do their, it's never going to happen, and it's going to get fucked up. There's no question about it. So, and also, mind you, I know they made fun of me because I skipped up on one of my videos that I did. What I meant to say was
that video was fucking hysterical. I saw the arm fly off, I lost it for like 20 minutes.
That's what happens. So the arm comes off when you see these prototypes. That's the way they're done. Even the head comes off.
No, we know why it came off, but it's still funny. It still was funny. Fuck. Yeah.
And I left. I mean, I could have very well edited it out or whatever, when I reposted the video, but I didn't. I just thought it was funny
about you, Mitch. Like, that's why I like you, and
you have to have that happy mix. Like, I can take a lot. I have thick skin.
Everybody, 99% of people would have edited that out.
I had to leave it.
So what did you fuck up that you're trying to clarify? I'm curious here.
What were we talking about?
You said you had to slip up in the video, but you slipped up and misspoke about.
So the factory in China had the 3D model for about a month, and I said that we were working on the figures for about a month.
Right.
But in reality, it was October of 2022 that I started doing all this, literally. So you can go back and check my Instagram to the first post.
So it's only been 3 months.
Not even, realistically.
And then when are you, forgive me for not seeing this if you did post it, when are you expecting to have product in consumers' hands?
So the Godfather or Smoke Train or Charles Wright or whatever we got to call him at this point, I think it's going to be like mid third quarter of this year.
Wow, that's fast.
I think, honestly, again, this is why I'm just trying to have a little cushion, because the COVID crap is really bad right now in China.
Yeah, with the shipping. Yeah,
you can check, really like bad. It's news, it's national news. I mean, it's worldwide news.
Absolutely.
So I'm worried that, God forbid, maybe at some point, something happens and they have to slow the production down or whatever the story is. But in a perfect world, if nothing happens with this COVID and God forbid it passes or whatever the story is, like I think it'll be before then. But in all transparency, that's why I said third quarter, like mid third quarter of this year. So granted,
what month what's mid third quarter? Give me the month roughly.
I would say
September?
it's like summer, the end of the summer or something like that.
And while this is going on, you're still signing wrestlers, right?
I think, unless I'm working on one really big one right now, and I'm not going to say who it is yet. Right. But if I get this one, it's probably going to be the last one that I do until we start getting rolling
product
into
out. Yeah,
because it's not fair to the talent. It's not like I have 30 guys signed. It's, again, full disclosure, as they like to say, right? Yep. Full disclosure, full transparency. Whatever guys I've announced, aside from 2 guys, is all the guys I have signed.
So what's the number, Mitch? What's the full number right now?
I think it's like, is it 10? It's about 10 now.
It's
like
10?
Not including the one. So it's not like I mean, realistically, if I was a multimillionaire and I had all these resources in my fingertips, like I could have done that in 2 series, right? It would have been 5 and 5, and you'd be done. You know what I mean? Then that would be the end of it until I got more people. You know what I mean?
Right, but then my question is going to be: you're signing, let's say, 10 guys. You
Right.
have the first figure that you started working on since October is not going to come out till roughly a year later, maybe sooner, but roughly a year later. Is it then going to take another full year for the next one to come out, and a next like we're looking at one release a
No,
year,
because
2
the
releases a year?
Yeah.
the ball's going to be rolling. You know what I mean? Like I already have Savio's sculpt is just about done. I already posted like a teaser of it yesterday.
Yeah, I
think it was.
saw it.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks good.
So the sculpt is already done. So the next process would be, exactly what I explained to you before. So basically, we would print that out, which doesn't take very long. My buddy has 3D printers going galore, and he prints one for me. I check it out, and then once I think it's pretty satisfactory, then we email it. See, that's another thing too. When you're doing things by hand or molding things, you have to mail stuff to other countries. You got to worry about it getting lost in the mail. Could you imagine you make a prototype and it's the only copy you have, and it gets sent to China, it gets lost, or it goes down in a boat, God forbid, or something like that?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like these files are forever, right? So you send it, and then they print it, and then they paint it, and they put it together just like this. They give it moving parts, and then that's when they send it back to you, and then you touch it and you make sure it's legit.
So 2 things, Mitch, before I get to these questions
Also, Ahmed Johnson is like 75% complete now too. So all these ones are going to be going over to.
Mitch, how did you get Ahmed Johnson? Like nobody else could get him, and you got him, the hustle man.
That's it. That's
it. That's it. Like
no, he's a really cool guy, man. He's good friends with Savio, so Savio.
Okay.
Savio put in the good word. But I was also talking to Ahmed Johnson like a year and a half ago when I wanted to get him to the store to do a signing because I know he hadn't done a signing in forever. Yeah. So I wanted him to come to the store because I was looking for these guys that haven't been around. I wanted unique, not the guys that are always, not that there's anything wrong with it, but there's those certain guys that are always running the circuit.
They're always signing.
You know what I mean?
Like,
and again, I'm not going to say any names out of respect, but there's a lot of guys that are local New York or Jersey or whatever, and they constantly go, you'll see them at the, the other wrestling stores and stuff.
Absolutely.
So I what do you call? I was looking for him and I spoke to him on the phone 3 times, but he had just gotten surgery or something on his leg or something like that. So he couldn't come.
So we get the version with him with the gun, like that would be that would be phenomenal.
The farmer,
yeah.
I still think that's one of the worst figures ever made, man. Just for so many different reasons. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, I mean he was just a nice guy, and he just spoke to him on the phone for a bit, and he took to me. He remembered me from from Savio from then.
Yep.
And that was it. And
do you know why he wouldn't sign with these WWE companies? Do you know why?
I have no idea. I didn't. You know what? Out of respect, I didn't ask, but he did tell me straight up. He said, "Just so you know, there's like 3 other companies that contacted me, and I told them all no, and I'm saying yes to you."
That's wild.
And again, I don't know what it is. I know I'm not the greatest person in the world. Whatever, you know what I mean. Nobody's perfect, but I feel honored that he did say yes.
It's
you know what I mean?
Because you're a fucking stud. That's why.
Sometimes, if you ask my wife, she might say yes. But
I'm assuming you have like a business lawyer that is signing all these contracts. Like again, I have no idea how that even works. But if you're signing these guys to a contract,
well, it was drawn up by an attorney, yeah. But it's basically a blanket. It's a blanket contract. Like you can use it for just about any.
You could get
right, but they can't. Yeah. Ahmed Johnson can't sign on with one of the other companies. I'm assuming, right?
It's a no compete clause. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I mean, especially he's like a special case where I don't think he wants to do anything else. I don't know. I can't speak for him, but from what the impression that I got from him when I spoke to him was that he wasn't really even he didn't really care like about figures. Right. It was like one of those things where he just So,
but forget him. What if Zombie Sailor Toys for some reason was like, hey, I want to make a Carlito in my next line, and he goes to him and offers him more money, whatever? Could Carlito fuck you over and leave, or how does that work?
I mean, I'm sure there's ways for people to always get out of something. It's one of those things. What are you going to do? Tie him down? But I feel like
that's what the contract is for, though.
Right,
no?
The contract that we have in place basically gives me the exclusive rights to to make the figure.
That's
You know
what
what I
he was
mean?
saying.
Okay.
Yeah. So they
Yeah.
can't go to another company
Right.
and get that's all Sal was saying.
I hate using those terms because if like people
No,
hear
there's nothing wrong
sometimes
with that, bro.
they hear that, then they feel, people don't like to feel confined or trapped
So
or anything like that.
I
But
mean,
they
it's
should
not
be.
forever, right? It's not forever.
No, it's just until we make the figure. So
That's it. That's it. And then
Yeah.
they could go and make another figure. So
But
Shawnee,
like I said-
Shawnee, I have one more here for Mitch before you get. I know whether
Go
you
ahead.
have one or you have the questions from the.
But I will
Yeah, I
also
do.
tell you this.
I do.
If you're looking for figures that actually look like Hasbro's, which again, I love the other companies. I have several of them here. You know what I mean? Like figures of them. But I will tell you that I feel personally, and again, I have to be confident in what I'm doing here. You know what I mean?
Not say your figure's better than Zombie Sailors. I will.
I am
not have it.
saying that the style of the figures that we're making, you can go back and look at the reference photos of like the Smoke Train Godfather,
Sal, don't laugh,
Charles.
Sal.
When you put him next to Tatanka or something like that, like I did in the photo, the extremities and the way that the figure is designed and the style of the figure looks close to the Hasbro's. So it's very close.
You naturally led me to my last question. I promise you before you said anything about that, my last question was going to be, when you see as a fan, as a whatever, Mark, a businessman, whatever you want to say, when you see Zombie release those figures, and I don't know Zombie from a hole in the wall. I do know that his figures are second to none. Like the original Hasbro artist, Ron Rudat, is drawing the figures. Those figures in hand are insane. Like him or not, good businessman or not, the figures are insane. How the fuck do you expect to compete with that for a price point that is, I believe, higher than his, where his figures are near perfect?
No, my figures, the cost is slightly less. But I'm not competing with them. I'm not competing with anybody. I'm putting out a product that is something that was a passion product, a passion, project rather. It's something that, I've wanted to do for a long time. And like I said, they're two totally different figures.
Yeah.
His figures are like Hasbro size, like statues. They're not. I mean, the Jeff Jarrett looks really good. I mean, I love Josh.
You're cool with Zombie, right? Yeah.
I don't have no beef with any. I don't have beef with anybody.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is they're different. If you like when he put that, you see the photo of Andre the Giant next to the Hasbro Andre the Giant. They're the same size, kind of like the scale, but they don't look alike. They're not the same style. You look at the Godfather and you put him next to Razor Ramon, and they look
alike.
They look very much alike. Their extremities.
I think I know what you're saying. His are almost
I get what he's saying.
Perfect.
Yeah, I get what he's saying.
They're detailed and too perfect.
See, but I can't say that because that's his vision. That's what he wanted. You know what I mean?
No, there's nothing wrong with that. No. Yeah.
What I'm saying incredible. Is what I'm doing is what I want. Like if I wanted this thing to have the full tattoos and the colored in art, then I could have done that. But there was a reason I chose to put the tattoos on him. The tattoos are supposed to look like the Papa Shango. You know what I mean? They're not. I don't want this. I want this figure to look like if Hasbro made this figure back in the 90s, I want this to look like as if it was made in the 90s. I don't want it to look like it was made.
Mitch, the hair, the back. So the figure looks great. I'm gonna be honest with you. It looks great. The back of the hair on the Smoke Train, it's like cartoony, and I was like, why does it look like that? But now what you're saying to me, it makes sense,
And it's again, this is the final product is going to look very similar to this, but there are little details like the hair, the I don't know what you call them, dreadlocks or cornrows, whatever they call them. Yep. They're a little bit fatter, but when they painted them, but when they're finally done, you're going to see a little bit more shading.
Got it.
You know what I mean? This is the first one that China had sent me.
To Mitch's point, I understand what you're saying. Like, I love the zombie figures. I think they're incredible.
And I love them too. That's what I try to tell everybody.
I know, but, and even I think Brian talked about this. I think Brian mentions this on the pod where it's not that they're too nice, but they're not as cartoonish as maybe the Hasbro. So I do understand what you're saying there, Mitch.
You know what I mean? So I just want them, And like I said, again, I reiterate because I know people like to take what I say out of context and make these funny videos and stuff like that, which is
Yeah.
fine because I get a kick out of it. I literally lay in bed sometimes and I watch
And
them
you
with my
watch
wife,
it, yeah.
and I just laugh my ass off. You know what I mean? But uh I'm just going for a different look. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I get
I
it.
think they're great. I think the Jeff Jarrett is definitely Hasbro-esque. I think he intentionally made it look more like a Hasbro
Yeah,
because it was supposed to be the orange card, right?
yeah,
But like I said, when you look at certain other ones, which they still beautiful, but I just feel like they're his vision. You know what I
yeah,
mean? They're
yeah, yeah.
they're what he and his team has put together, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with them. They are beautiful.
They
The
are. They're
quality.
amazing.
I was trying to find them. I had because I just cleaned my office, but I still had the backboards.
We believe you, and
But
I
I
know
was trying to
that.
pull it just now, but I have them. I'm not gonna lie. You know what I mean?
Listen,
Like
I don't think
I
there's
and
an
again,
ounce of like hate in your
no, and
body.
there isn't
You know.
because this is my dream. This is something I wanted to do. You know what I mean? This is something that this is the way I'm envisioning it in my mind. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
And I just feel like that's the style. I mean, that's just the style
yeah.
I want.
I
I
get it.
want when you have how people have them in their D12, right? And they're all lined up together. When they have one of mine in there, I want them. I don't want people to be like, oh, that one's a little different than. I want them to look. Even the retros, God bless them, they look great, right?
Yeah,
Some of them were really good. Like they tried really hard and they did a really great job. But even some of those, like if you stuck them next to a Hasbro, you would know that it was a little
you
off,
would
right?
know
There's
the difference.
something
Yeah,
different about
yeah,
it. You know what I mean? But then
yeah.
you got a couple of them, a handful of them, like the Brock Lesnar. Like I feel like if you put that next to a Hasbro, you really can't tell. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah. The
Even
Brock is
the
great.
Cella, whatever it is now, formerly Cella,
Right.
I didn't like the look of the one that I saw in person was the Dynamite Kid, and
Right.
to me I didn't like it. I ordered a Haku, but who the fuck knows when that's going to show up?
Well,
But
that's what I'm saying. Like not to bring them up, and I respect everything those guys did too, man. I mean, they fucked up along the way. There's no question about it. You know what I mean? And I'm here to judge anybody because I'm new to this too. You know what I mean? But like that was one of the problems too. That they just kept there was wrestler after wrestler in series, like 10 in a series, 5 in it.
Yeah,
It just and then variants and colored and chased it is.
yeah.
It was like, how many fucking Nick Aldis did they make? Instead
Matt
of
did.
making 10 Nick Aldis, couldn't they have just made one Nick fucking Aldis and then
Matt
made
did
a
a
bunch of other
count
guys?
on the pod. It was over like 35 unreleased figures.
No, you see, that's what I'm saying.
It's like insane.
It's almost
Insane.
impossible for me to have this problem because I'm not overextending myself like that, no matter
Please
what.
don't. Please
Even
don't.
on my,
And-
shoestring budget that somebody made fun of me about.
I'm
do
gonna.
you get approval? I hope you get approval from your wife to go all in on this. I mean, I'm just worried, and I heard the guys talking about it, and I
Yeah.
trust both Matt and Brian with obviously a business model, and if they're saying it may be not sustainable, and I hear and use common sense again, I don't know the numbers. I don't know how it works. That's why I'm asking you. That's why I think it's interesting.
If you do it the right way, it can be done. But you have to do it the right way. And I guess that I've been very fortunate in the people that I've surrounded myself with when it comes to this line.
Yeah.
And they all share the same vision I share. They all share.
Yeah.
They have the same style. They have the same foresight. You know what I mean? They like when I first met up with Sal, and then we decided we were going to try to do this. He's going to help me along. Like he knew. I showed him I still have my old Hasbro custom of the Godfather, and I showed him this, and I said, "This is kind of what I want it to look like," and he was able to like kind of make it look almost exactly like it. But you can't obviously use the same parts. But we made them look like, And I never got back to Cella for the praise that I wanted to give them. The Nick Aldis. I thought the body was all right, but I just felt like the head was really big. I don't know how that happened. I kind of always felt like he looked like one of the Double Dragon villains with those, when you fight them and there's guys with the
yes.
That's what I kind of felt it looked like.
Yeah,
and I love Nick Aldis. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Like he's
I don't know
great.
about the
but I
talent.
do know Double Dragon.
Yeah. But like the Hayabusa, I thought, and I don't like jumpers, dude. I thought that shit was awesome. All right. The Bull Nakano,
but then you got like Ethan Page who came out garbage, like so it's like
they have some fails, but they have there's a lot of
no,
good
they
stuff.
have great ones too. Yeah, I think they did Blue Meanie came out great.
The Blue Meanie the Atom Bomb looks really good. It just doesn't stain good because they didn't but that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
See, that's when I was saying about how you can print out the 3D models before you send them to China,
Yeah.
that's why you have to print them out.
To make
I'm
sure
giving
that
away
they-
multi-million dollar information here, maybe, but you print them out so that so that you could do this, and he could. Well, I don't know if it works because I have the stupid thing.
I just see your cartoon.
It stands like you could go like this, and he doesn't fall over. You know what I mean? I know somebody's gonna take that soundbite, but
all right.
you can. You know what I mean? Like you have to. The atom bomb.
Please blow into the microphone again.
Do it.
Yeah, we'll get a picture. We'll get a picture of Cardona standing there and Mitch blowing.
There you go.
Sean,
but
you
guys,
I'm gonna make that Photoshop happen.
I will, guys. I'm gonna because we don't have much time left, but I'm gonna go down the list of questions, Mitch, and we're just gonna shoot it, okay? Like rapid fire, okay?
Got it.
Jeff Montalvo, can he confirm we are getting jean shorts? Anthony Norris, aka Ahmed Johnson. I need to know this information if it's coming. How many figures are in a case?
I will say this. I will say that if there is a second Ahmed Johnson, thanks to Brian Myers and like 100 other people, I promise you, if there is a second Ahmed Johnson, I'm worried about the first one now. I'm not worried about it, but I'm saying my concern is to get this one as perfect as possible.
Yep.
If it is within my means to make this one with the denim shorts with the fanny pack that we all know and love, I will do it.
Oh, that's
I've already told Cardona this. I've been behind the scenes. You know, he was breaking my, and I said I'm really going to make it. If this all rolls out the way I'm planning, which so far, thank God, it is rolling out exactly how I planned it.
Yeah.
There will be a variant Ahmed Johnson with the freaking the Daisy Dukes.
Joe Hersky, when is the ship date for Smoke Train? We already said that around September.
Third quarter.
Hopefully. If nothing with COVID affects it.
I mean, we got to be realistic to it. This is like,
I hate there has to be some padded room there.
When they say uncertain times and it comes to shit like this, they're not kidding. You know what I mean? Like you don't, especially China,
Okay. And Jeffrey, C, what's the wife think of the pink suit?
My wife actually was the one who I bought the suit, and she was the one who actually put the designs on the suit for me.
Oh, that's cool.
I don't know necessarily that she's a huge fan of it.
Yeah.
But it may or may not have to be dusted off at some point.
I love it. I love the pink suit because
I thought after I got the fall away slam from Tatanka that was going to be the end for the pink suit. But you never know. I might have to dust it off.
Victor Leva. When can we get more artwork to hold us over until the product drops? Don't answer that, but do me a favor. Take Cardona's advice, Mitch. Don't be putting out these artworks. And we only say this because we love you. You know what I mean? The
artworks are, it's only because of past failures or foul-ups is the reason that the artwork gets
all
such
these companies get ripped, and you're doing the same thing. So,
but you know what it is too. I also gotta march to the beat of my own drum too. You know what I mean?
I get that, but
you should. You should march to the beat of your own drum.
100%.
However, two things I'm going to say that I would trust Cardona when it comes to advice, especially with this stuff.
Yes.
Number two, from a consumer, I'm talking to you not as the host or co-host of this podcast. I'm talking to you as a consumer. I am fed up with all the bullshit that is out there about what's coming, when it's going to happen, 6 months, pre-orders, years down the road. I got stuff that's on pre-order. I don't even remember what I ordered. So from that aspect, from the consumer, I think that's where it's not that people are shitting on your product or I mean, they are to a certain extent, but not in this case. It's not that they're worried about the art. I'm talking about nobody wants to see the endless figures, the endless guys that are signed and the artwork without
nothing in hand.
Exactly.
But as I say, it stinks because I got caught up in like the
excitement,
the backlash. No, the backlash of like what happened with the other companies. You know what I mean? Only because,
like I see said, what you're saying. You're paying for their mistakes.
We've only been doing this since October. You know what I mean? I already have a figure that's about to go into production. two others that are already almost finished sculpting, which will start the beginning of
You're right, Mitch. You're
so
right.
in under
You're
3 months, I've already produced, one figure is almost ready to go in. Of course, now it's the Chinese New Year. So
Right.
nothing can be done until, because they take a vacation for like a month almost. So it's bad timing on that respect. But it gives me time to kind of see where the interest is and gauge how many I'm going to have to order and what I have to do to make sure that, you know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying about, like, I feel like I understand 100% what you're saying, especially with the whole debacle over in the UK with the the other company and everything like that. But I also can't eat I eat enough shit as it is for nothing. I've done nothing wrong to anybody. I've never screwed anybody. I've never, I haven't fallen short on my promises at all to anybody yet. So like I get where everybody's annoyed, you know what I mean? Like, if I was a collector like that still, like that I was buying pre-ordering or what, I would be pissed too. But again, I'm not them and they aren't me. And I'm not like I said, I'm not overextending myself to the extent that they did. So I need to, you know what I mean? But it's true. You know what I mean? It's not even like one of those PC bullshit answers. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't. You have time. You and I know each other for a while.
You're right. We shouldn't be looking at you as the one who's failed because
like, why am I the scapegoat? I'm getting stoned for something that I didn't. I literally have done nothing wrong.
Because
nothing.
It's the timing that you've come in, and now guess what? You're right. We shouldn't judge you, but now you're on the clock, and now you're going to be judged.
That's fine. I don't mind. As long as I'm doing everything on my end responsibly and correct. I'm not taking this money and going to the. I don't need. That was my main reason for saying I am in no way, shape, or form rich. Okay, I am no way, shape, or form, on the upper class or whatever it is. I'm a nice, steady middle class. Once in a while I get a little bump.
I think that's why people worry so much about
but it's nothing to worry because I know how to run a business, responsibly.
No, I agree, but I think that's part of the reason. I don't think that there's so much hate for you. I think that it's actually love and care, and people care about,
which is fine. And like I said, I have everything is planned out the way it should be.
For sure.
And like I said, in the little bit of time that I've been doing this, we've had more progress in some ways than some of these other companies who may or may not be backed by millionaires or whatever the story is. You know what I mean?
So the next question goes into something we just talked about. Brian and Matt have a strong influence on the toy community. This is by Chris DiGiovanni. How do you take their advice or constructive criticism?
I love them, and then this is like one of those like thin lines where like I have to, and I speak to Matt a lot. I'm not gonna lie. Like I talk to him behind the scenes, you know what I mean? He thinks he has, the need to scold me sometimes, which he may or may not, have, should do it or not. You know what I mean?
That's
I couldn't word it properly. Yes. And I love him to death. And I love Brian. You know what I mean? Smart Mark's all right. But he's another guy who I've known before the podcast even existed. All right. Like he got most of his Hasbro collection from me, just the same way Sal said he got a ton from me. So I knew all these guys beforehand, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the thing is, and I'm just jesting. I love Smart Mark too. He's a good guy, man. And even his wife had bought some Hasbros for him for Christmas one year from me because she knew where he was getting his Hasbro supply from. I was the Hasbro man once before I was the hustle man. But yeah, I mean, I do take it to heart. Sometimes I feel like they are a little hard on me, you know what I mean? But I think it is partially because they care about me. I think it's also partially because I have to uphold my role as like the Santino Morella of the major pod group. I feel like every company needs that Santino, guy, and I guess I'm the lucky one that got that role. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in the end, everybody loves Santino, right?
Yeah,
so
it's true. It gives you free publicity. Why wouldn't you want it?
Right.
You know what I mean?
And I know most of the time they just mean it as a joke. So but I do listen to them, and you know what I mean? I did pump the brakes on, certain things, like as far as showing things. That's why I didn't even show the last couple of guys that I want to announce. And I'm like, it's hard for me not to.
For sure. Hold on. I know it's exciting, but hold on, bro. I'm telling you. So why did you close your New York location? This is from Joe Matt. And I did my first fake hunt ever. I did my first ever fake hunt during the pandemic. Mitch was so welcoming and down to earth. Why did you close your New York shop?
Well, basically, the deal was, the short version is that I opened the store here in Ohio with a buddy of mine, and I came here with the truck. You know, it's really not that far. I mean, it's about 8 hours. You know, it sounds like a lot, but once you do it like 12, 13, 14, 15 times, it gets really less and less. But I opened the store here, and then I kind of started seeing like the real estate and the houses and how much the taxes were on property tax and all this other kind of stuff. And it really is, where I live in Canton is a lot like Long Island. Like, if you didn't know, if somebody like gave you knockout gas and let you loose here, you would think it was you would think it was Long Island that you were still in. So it's
The
basically
Football Hall of Fame is in Canton.
it's literally
right?
from where I'm talking to you right now, it's 3 minutes down the road from me.
Wow, that's cool.
So when I saw this, it was kind of like an eye opener. I'd never been to Ohio before.
Why don't you try to get is the fridge still alive? Refrigerator Perry, you could get a little WrestleMania 2 fridge.
That would be cool, right? And then it would
cool.
kind of double as like a whole. That's actually a great idea. Or an LT. Yeah. That would be cool.
Well, that you could do. I mean, yeah, there you go.
But
LT might
Bam
be
Bam.
tougher, but yeah,
Bam Bam.
I mean, any of those. You're welcome for the idea. Yeah, right.
Thank you. That's a good. Yeah. That's a great tip. So basically, I was able to sell my house and just. I mean, the truth is, because so many people have asked this question.
Yeah.
Basically, I'm gonna say it, publicly, I guess. But I was able to sell my home in Long Island, and I bought this house. I don't even have a mortgage anymore.
Yep.
Okay. This is where I live, and that's it. I pay the taxes on here, which my taxes on this house are $1,800 a year.
Which in Long Island,
I have a 2,000 square foot house, not including
anywhere from $12,000 to $16,000 in taxes.
My house, my taxes on my 900 square foot house I had where my other store was $9,000 a year, just for the taxes.
Wow.
Okay, and I lived in a tiny little house that was literally no upstairs, no downstairs. I had a crawl space, no garage. I have a 2-car garage here, a finished basement, an attic that I can literally pull the string right here.
Yeah.
Go up there, walk around, and it's mine.
Did you own that store in Long Island?
No, it was a rental.
Oh, okay, okay.
But my lease was almost up there anyhow. So when I closed, it was pretty amicable. Like, they were cool, and the guy next door wound up renting it, like the gun shop or whatever. They were happy. They got a tenant right away. The guy was drooling at the mouth to get that place anyway, because his gun shop had gotten so congested.
He wanted it.
That it was like it was like that was like fate. Okay, and then the fact that I was able to come here and do this, I'm able to do what I do anywhere. So that's kind of. That's
awesome. Yeah.
It's kind of one of those things. So that's the truth about what happened with the store.
I appreciate you answering it truthfully. I'm going to do a couple more questions and then we'll get out of here. Matthew Rich, will there be an instructional YouTube video for the drawing of the missing tattoos?
So I did that live video, right, with taking like the questions from the people that were popping in and stuff. And it went really well.
Ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. Basically, what happened was once I showed the prototype, and some people are not like Hasbro purists, I guess.
Yeah.
So when I told them that I was just going to do the tattoos of Papa Shango, because I wanted it to be in line with the Papa Shango figure, because it's the same guy, and his tattoos, and this is from his mouth. If you ever see him, you can ask him.
The tattoos were the same.
They never changed from he only because he had to get one like colored over or whatever, because it was suggestive or whatever. That was his business, whatever. So other than that, his tattoos have been the same. He hasn't even added any since then.
I love that.
I said it makes sense. It makes sense because it's now, so it was something silly, but it kind of made sense. So then people like, oh, the fucking tattoos, that. I'm like, so somebody said something. Because you can't see the comments when you repost a live. Yeah. So somebody said something about the tattoos, and I was like, listen. And I said it as a joke. If you watch the whole video, you'll see like a joke. I say, listen, I know if you're upset, here's the paint. I have it right here. Here's the paint. You can paint your own tattoos on, but it was just because I was sick of people like shitting on me for it.
Of
But
course.
it wasn't me like, oh, by the way, guys, that was totally taken out of context.
I know. I think they were busting balls too.
Oh yeah, they were for sure.
For sure.
But but people that didn't watch the whole video and just watched that snippet montage that they made,
yes,
they wouldn't actually know, like
there was no context behind it.
Right.
Yes.
So so that's where that joke came from.
That's great. So the next one is Matt Cardona. He actually popped on and asked a question, and he says, "What happens if 800 people don't pre-order Smoke Train? Do we not get the figure?" I know you answered this.
You're definitely getting the figure. I saw that comment earlier too, and then I was
How are you fitting the names on the actual packaging?
We have something unique, I think, that is going to happen. If we need the room, I think we're going to do something.
Are you going to need like a microscope to see your name? Like,
I think we'll be able to fit everything we need to fit on there.
Okay.
But we're going to do something that I think it's still going to keep the integrity of the old packaging, like the vintage style packaging that we're going to do, that everybody's doing, right?
Yeah.
But it'll still be something where people that keep their stuff MOC, it will not affect the integrity of the package itself.
Can I give you an idea? Go ahead, Sal. Go ahead.
Well, how are you going to do that though? Because wouldn't these things be mass produced? How the hell are you going to put individuals' names on each one of these, however many you sell?
So what happens is that the way that, and I don't know if it's different with other companies or other factories that you deal with in China, but as far as this one goes, they make the figures first. So it's not like, they're not going to take the figure and then, put it right in the package as soon as it comes off the press. So basically what they do is they literally make an army of these figures. They produce all the figures, and then the next and final step is that they put them in the packaging.
Yeah.
So by the time
I get that. No, I understand that, but the packaging still needs to be mass produced, no?
Well, they do all that. The same factory does all that stuff. So
well, like, think about what we're talking about here. Let's just say you sell 800 figures, right? You get the pre-order for 800.
Right.
You're going to make 800 different packages with individuals' names on it?
No, it's going to be on one package, Sal.
It's basically going to say, because I really wanted this to be, and I think so far it is, like, I want this to be, and I say it, and it's not just like a catchphrase or a gimmick, but this is going to be a line for the fans, by the fans, because I really am a fan. And then when I say I'm not, like, it's not a money-making scheme, I don't need to do this to survive or to feed my family. This is something I'm doing because I want to do it. It's something that it's gonna happen. So
Mitch,
basically,
how about this? How about you get the names real small? Hear me out. No, I'm not even joking. I'm dead serious. Get the names real small and do the Grapplers and Gimmicks logo with all the names.
That would be cool. But I don't know how they would make it legible. You know what I mean? I get what you mean though, like different color font.
Yes.
And then like almost like they do that Mario, like when they do Mario, like the thing.
So I did not realize that it was going to be every name. So like if Shawnee and I both bought a figure, his name, my name, Cardona, Myers, all these names, whoever pre-orders a figure is going to have their name on the package. So if I buy a figure and a pre-order, I'm getting the list of names.
Yeah, and as corny as it sounds, I wanted, I really did want everybody to be a part of this. You know what I mean? I know it's said a lot, and it's always like, oh God, thank God.
Why the fuck would I want Shawnee's name on my figure, on my mock figure?
Mitch,
well, it's on the back.
You took it down?
What?
I was gonna order a figure on the live show.
Yeah, we sold out. I only put 100 up because I wanted to see.
Oh my God!
I wanted to see. I wanted to see. What I did was I had my subscribers.
Yeah.
And for however many years I've had the website with the Shopify there, people signed up for the thing. So to be kind of nice, I wanted I wanted people to be happy.
I literally waited to do it on the live show, and I would have bought it earlier if I knew that. Damn, man, it's all right.
It's all right. I mean, we got till October, I think.
Yeah,
I could put it on. No, you don't have until October.
Oh,
October
well, what do you mean?
they'll be coming out.
So wait, let me ask you. So if we don't pre-order, that means you can't get it?
No, you can. So all right, I know I see where this
But
I
our
hope
name's
that
not gonna be on it,
the
Sal.
name is not going to be
Oh,
on it. So
all right, that's fine.
at some point I used 800 as like a roundabout number because it has nothing to do with how many I have to make. It has nothing to do with money. It's
Yep.
I used 800 because I just said up to 800. So if let's just say we let this first pre-order go until it's time to start printing these packages and stuff like that. I'm still going to order more on top of that. It's not going to just be
Right.
made to order because you never know. God forbid somebody gets lost in the mail or something. Ship goes down or whatever. So you have to, the post office floods again or whatever the story is going to happen.
When is it opening back up?
It's going to be tomorrow afternoon at like 12
perfect.
o'clock.
Perfect. All right, I'll order it then.
I appreciate it.
One more question, and then we're out of here. You ready? This is from the biggest mark you've ever met in your life. His name is Raleigh Allen. He's about 10 feet tall.
He's a great guy.
Right? And he had a really important and sophisticated question. And I want to ask you this. Hold on one second. Sorry, guys. I just want to.
Raleigh actually sent in a question.
He did. I was shocked. When did you decide not to pursue having sex and instead play with dolls for the rest of your life?
Oh man. I can't pinpoint it. I don't know. I can't tell you exactly
when. Do you
when,
use the cane as an accessory?
It was definitely in my teenage years. I remember I had the choice to go out with a chick or stay home and make my figures, and I basically stayed. There's a partial truth to that.
You are the man. We love you. Thank you so much for coming on and answering all the questions. I don't think that many people would be as honest as you are. And I just want to let you know we really respect you for it. And I know I'm buying a figure tomorrow, at least one. So we'll definitely support you, and everybody else should too.
I appreciate you, and I promise you guys, you have my word. Like everything will go smoothly. I promise. I know I do have that added pressure. So, and I do appreciate both of you. And like I said, I have, a different relationship with both of you guys. Like I know, I had Sal for a long time, and we've met and everything. And you and I have met at the signings, and and I love our banter back and forth. Sometimes it's
awesome.
Fun.
It's the best. Plug whatever you need to plug.
Just grapplers and gimmicks. I promise that's what it's called. It has many names, but grapplers and gimmicks. You can go to the Instagram, HastelToy.com. That's where you're gonna pre-order the figure. It's gonna drop tomorrow, which I'm assuming by the time they hear this, it's gonna be today. 12 o'clock. And we're
Sal. Any last words?
We're off to the races.
Yeah. Thanks, Mitch. Thank you for being a good sport, first and foremost. I mean, I have legitimate questions that we asked. I think you answered them honestly and at least opened my mind up a little bit more so than it would have been, because I think you bring up the best point. You should not be lumped in to the other failed companies. You have your time to prove yourself. And now, like we said, you're on the clock. But best of luck with everything. Thanks for being a good sport. Thanks for always helping out when they needed. You were a big part of me completing my Hasbro collection. So I appreciate that.
My pleasure, man.
I appreciate you taking my business for years.
Thank you, sir.
All right, everybody, we love you, and we're out, baby.